I'm Devi. I'm from Utah. I have a family and a 9 to 5, and I know like when you were making Pinstripe, you didn't have the most healthy relationship between the two. But I'm just wondering if you ever found like a balance, or if like I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and
Yeah.
become a full-time zombie.
Yeah. Well, there's different places you can be healthy. You can be healthy with your schedule, but unhealthy with your mind or your heart, right? So for me, when I was making Pinstripe, my schedule was fine. Like I had time in my day, and my schedule was I would get up at 5 in the morning and work on Pinstripe. Now nowadays, I get up early and I work out because I have the time. I think everybody should be getting up early in the morning and doing something before they work. If you can sacrifice an hour in your morning to make a game, that's wonderful. Or sacrifice that hour of lunch break, or sacrifice that hour after work before you go home, or sacrifice that hour before bed. My schedule, I would say, was healthy because I had time. The problem was my brain was not healthy. So there's different ways to be healthy. My brain was always running. You could see smoke coming out of my ears because I was constantly thinking about my game. And I know all of you in the chat who are making games right now, and Debbie, you included, you probably know that feeling of like, I wish I could shut my brain off and stop thinking about this game, but I can't. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you have kids?
No, I just have like I got loads of pets. I consider them my kids.
Yeah. So, the thing is that hopefully with your pet, they don't need you to talk to them and actually like verbalize all your feelings. So you could probably get away with being a little bit unhealthy with how much you're thinking about your game. I think it's for those of you in the chat who have kids, like your kids, and maybe your pets do know, Debbie, but I know with my kids, they know when I'm not all there. And so to create a healthy schedule, in order for it to be healthy for you, to answer your question, in order for it to be healthy for you, I've always found creating expectations, and you can actually do this with pets, create expectations about where you're gonna be and what you're gonna be doing. And if you have kids or you have a wife or you have a husband, create expectations of where you're gonna be and when you're gonna be in your office with the door closed. And then be sure to set those expectations and then fulfill those expectations. AKA make a schedule. It's really that simple. People, they love to think that they can start a schedule, but they don't stick to it. And so for you, I would highly recommend finding 2 hours a day. Can you find 2 hours a day?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could find it somewhere in the morning, at lunch, in the evening. And then your next question is, well, I don't want that to interrupt my flow. So for me, my flow is, let's say I was working a day job and then I was like, well, I need to work on my game. So I'm going to work on my game right before I get off work. That is a terrible idea. Like at 5:30 p.m., if I were to work on my game for an hour at 5:30 p.m. to 6:30, and then I go downstairs and try and hang out with my kids, it's a terrible, terrible idea. It's going to interrupt your flow as a parent. If you're working on your game and then you try and go be social immediately after working on your game, you kind of turn into an a-hole. So you want to try and figure out in your schedule, where's the best spot to put game dev, because it's going to be frustrating. I'm going to have difficulty not thinking about it. So what I tend to do is I think maybe I can put a workout or a run immediately after working on the game so that I can get it all out of my system. So Debbie, that's what I would do. Do you have a schedule that you've committed to?
I do currently, yeah. It's not the greatest, but it does it for now.
Yeah. And do you feel like it's causing an imbalance in your life?
Yeah.
How so?
Kind of making me go crazy. Right now, I basically am like only sleeping like 4 to 5 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I feel like I can't, commit all of my energy to game dev, my passion, because I'm not, all the way there.
Yeah. Let's try to figure this out. During your day job, are you working a day job?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you working 8 hours, 9, 10?
8 to 9 hours.
Okay, 8 to 9 hours. So, I don't think there's a reason why you should be not getting sleep, to be blunt with you, because I think that if you're working 9 hours a day, why not just find 1 to 2 hours and cap yourself at 2 hours of game dev? Mm-hmm. And get some sleep. You can have a life. It's totally possible. For me, I spend an hour and a half of my extra time outside of work hours, like working out or doing a run or something. And I have 3 kids, 3 kids and a wife. And so I've got all these social responsibilities, yet I still have a life, right? I'm still getting 8 hours of sleep a day. It really has to do with budgeting your time and really writing it down and committing to it. So for me, if I were you, I'd be going, okay, if I have to work 8-9 hours a day at my desk job, I'm going to max out cap my working on my game at like 2 hours, because the temptation is I'm going to work for 2 hours and then you can't stop. Do you know that feeling?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You can't stop, and you work till midnight or 2 in the morning, and then you get up the next morning and you're demotivated. So it's not a balanced lifestyle, and I think it's a really, really good question. So it's kind of weird for me to say this. I usually say try and commit to a minimum hour. I think you need to max out at 2 hours and be done. It's just not gonna be a long-term strategy for you.
And by the way, if you're like me and you always dreamt of making an indie game as a full-time job, I have a free webinar below that goes into exactly how to make 6 figures with just a demo. I was just like you for years. I thought I had to make a game in its entirety before getting a paycheck, but there's actually 3 ways to make 6 figures before even finishing your game. I've done this multiple times. So check it out below if you do want to go full-time indie.
And thanks for watching.